Welcome back to another video. In this module, we'll be focusing on how to sell your business with a higher price and with less risk to the buyer. To sell your business, convince the buyer that you have a team that can run the business well after the transaction. The idea for people to buy a business is that they can ease into that business without any tinkering or working in the business. You'll also need to prove that your management team is locked into staying with your company after the acquisition. Next, you need to calculate your company valuation. There are several ways to do that, and in this video, we'll really only cover two. The first is enterprise value, or EV, over earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, or EBITDA. The second way is P over E, or price to earnings ratio. Both of these formulas are under business valuation multiplier. The EV over EBITDA formula is broken down to, again, enterprise value over its earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, while P&E, or P over E, stands for price to earnings ratio. We'll talk more about it in the next module. I'll see you there. So how do you sell your business for a 4x to 12x multiplier? And what's a multiple anyway? A multiple measures some aspects of a company's financial well-being, determined by dividing one metric by another metric. The metric in the numerator is typically larger than the one in the denominator. A multiple works in a way that it is a measurement of risk. The inverse or reciprocal of a multiple shows the current return on an investment. So the higher the multiple, the less risk a buyer perceives in the transaction, and the more likely they'll pay more for the investment. For example, the inverse of a 4x multiple is 25%. For a buyer to require a 25% return on an investment, the business may not be growing or is in a tougher, more capital-intensive industry. Either way, a general interpretation is that this investment is pretty risky. In comparison, the inverse of a 12x multiplier is, get this, 0.08%, meaning that the buyer would be willing to pay 7 times only if the investment is much less risky. Okay, how to evaluate your business. A multiple is calculated as multiple equals performance metric A over performance metric B. A multiple can be used to show how much your business is worth in the market and how much you'll be able to make by selling your business away. For example, using the P over E ratio, if you plan to sell your company at 12x multiplier, how much will the price be? Or how much should your company be earning before you sell it away? The price of the company can be estimated by multiplying the annual earnings of the company by the multiplier of 12. Simple maths, but this formula can only be used as a rough estimation of how much your business is worth. However, a more precise way of doing it will be using the EV over EBITDA formula. It's used to measure the cash flow available to the firm or business. EV to earnings before interest and taxes, also referred to as EV over EBIT, is used for less capital-intensive companies with a smaller depreciation and amortization expense. All multiples act as a single number that analysts can multiply by some financial metric to determine the relative value or worth. With the EV over EBITDA formula, you'll be able to make comparison between you and your competitors who are doing similar types of business. After the business valuation, chances are your business is not worth as much as you expected it to be, or your business does not have a healthy earning history. So in the long run, the company might not be able to earn more than what you're already earning now.